What's going on, guys? It's your boy Andy Matrix, and I've talked a lot about the comic book industry. I talk a lot about how the comic book industry is going down the drain, how manga is beating comic books, how they lack creativity. All over the internet, all over YouTube, you can find so much information as to why the Western comic book industry is going down the hill, right? Okay, but in this video, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how bad it's doing. We're going to talk about why it's hard to get into comic books.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
And more specifically, because I know a lot of people get confused, I'm going to talk about specifically about Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC, they make up, or at least they used to make up, at least 70% of Western comic book sales. This is not including manga, okay? Just Western comic books, everything from Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Boom, IDW, all those companies, right? Like, this is, Marvel and DC are the biggest one. Like most of the money is in the comic book industry is made by them, okay? Because other companies, like other smaller companies, don't really matter anymore. Like Dark Horse, I like a lot of the Dark Horse comics, but Dark Horse was sold to some company in Europe. IDW is going out of business, right? And manga is just way easier to get into. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about that. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell for future notifications. I talk about anime, manga, video games, geek culture, Japanese culture. If you're into any of that stuff, then make sure to subscribe. Now on with the show. All right, guys. So why are Western comic books difficult to get into? And one of the first things that I've noticed, one of the first factors, is that they keep rebooting, right? They keep rebooting and rebooting. Like in the past, since the 1990s, the DC Comics has rebooted their other superhero series 5 times. I'm not joking, 5 times, and I'm gonna name them, right? I'm gonna go year by year. This is for DC only, right? So for DC, in 1994, it was Zero Hour. In 1998, it was Hypertime. From the 2000s, early 2000s, 2003, it was Infinite Crisis. In 2007, it was the new Multiverse. And then in 2015, it was Convergence. There. And that's just only that's 5 times they rebooted their series. So imagine the newcomer, right? Imagine all the newcomers. Like, somebody tries to get into the comic book industry, into comic books, Marvel, DC, because they are the most popular and that's what they see the most. So they try to get into it, and they read, they see like 10 different comic books about Batman and Robin, and 10 different comic books about the Flash or Iron Man, right? The series have been revamped so many times. Like, you don't know what's happening. You don't know where to start. It's hard to get started. And that's exactly what happened to me when I was in high school. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, my friend was into comic books, and I'm asking him questions like, wait, so how do I start? And he said, oh, well, you have to go by which era. What do you mean era? What do you mean by era? Oh, well, each era is a different like story for the characters. They change it up. And I'm like, what the heck? That's so annoying. And this is why it's so much easier to get into manga. Because manga, there's volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, right? Since the 1980s, Dragon Ball has always been Dragon Ball. Now, of course, there's different versions, like Little Goku, Teen Goku, and then Adult Goku, right? The characters actually grow up in anime and manga, right? Naruto, we see Naruto from when he was 14 to when he was 16 to the next generation, right? So it progresses, right? Same thing with a lot of other series. And it's very rare for a Japanese author to quote-unquote reboot a manga series or anime, right? They might add some new things to it, but like they don't exactly reboot it and change the backstory and change so many things. And you just don't know where to start with Western comic books, right? You don't know where to start. It makes it hard, and it makes it tedious Now, to be fair, this is not true. Okay, this is not true when it comes to other comic book companies like Dark Horse and IDW. You know, at least for Dark Horse, usually they make comic book series in numbers, right? And yet, even so, the interest keeps going towards manga, and despite of the fact, right? Despite of the fact that manga, you have to read it from right to left instead of left to right, like here in the West. It still outsells. It's still much easier to get into. Now, I always wonder, why do they keep rebooting stories? Like, why keep rebooting it? Why not just keep one? You know, why not just keep a set of stories and then bring in new characters, right? Now, we all kind of know why they don't make new characters, because they're lazy. They're creatively lazy and creatively bankrupt. However, the leaders at Marvel and DC Comics say that reboots and relaunches are for the next generation. But wait a moment. For the next generation. Now, if you look at something like Berserk, which started in the 1980s, is still going. It's still going strong. Dragon Ball is still going. One Piece is still going. Sailor Moon is still popular. Right? So I think this is just an excuse. I think it's just straight up laziness. We really, the answers seem very simple. Just make new things, but they refuse to do that. And I think they've gotten so comfortable with all these characters that they just don't want anything to change. Like, how many times can you tell the same Superman story or the same Justice League story? It gets tiring. That's where there is such a thing as superhero fatigue in the last like five years, right? But when it comes to manga, that is not true. When it comes to manga, you can find, like with manga, you finish Naruto or Dragon Ball or whatever, you can move on to so many other genres, so many other shonen manga, and replenish your joy for the medium. And honestly, I don't think this is going to change. For Western comic books, Marvel and DC, this is not going to change, and I think this is why manga is going to keep winning. I will not be surprised if by 2024. They go and reboot the entire series of Marvel and DC comics. But until then, guys, really quick, remember to go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I am on Twitter. You can follow me there for updates. And also, if you like this video, make sure to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for future notifications. It's your boy, Andy Matrix. Thank you for watching and listening. Godspeed.